I'm Tyler. I went to Japan for 20 days on vacation. Now it's time to make a vacation video with all the photos and video I took. You can watch this or just throw it up in the background. I'll be doing narration throughout the entire thing. I'm going to go day by day, and then at the end I'm going to do a sort of experimental portion. So without further ado. Day 1, Monday, July 14th. Tokyo is a city unlike any other in the world. I realized this on the first day after my plane had touched down in Haneda Airport. My Appa hotel was an hour away up in Akabane. I'm glad that I picked an out-of-the-way place to stay because I got to experience a local culture that many tourists are going to miss out on. I got my Suica card from the airport and set out. Being fresh to the subway systems, I learned pretty fast and was able to navigate easily. I totally did not have to ask a subway official where the hell I was. Trust. I got up to Akabane and had a 15-minute walk with my luggage up to my hotel, and the thing that stuck out to me was how quiet the streets were. It was midday, and the city noises that I had come accustomed to in the mean streets of Milwaukee were nowhere to be found. I was on a main road, and the noisiest thing was my luggage rolling on the sidewalk. It was eerie but peaceful. With hindsight, the loudest Tokyo streets really get is when some politician is blasting rhetoric out of a megaphone-laden van. Anyway, I make it to the hotel and unpack and take a second to relax. Then I get up, head out to the best consumerism store that I've ever been to, a store that puts all American capitalism to shame. Imagine if a US Walmart was shrunk down to 1,000 square feet, stack everything up to the ceiling, the aisles are 2 feet wide or less. It's awesome. No notes. I feel bad for the workers though, because they have to listen to the same jingle for however long their shift is. Day 2, Tuesday, July 15th. It was a rainy day and my plan was to hit up Akihabara. But my phone algorithm had another plan. I got a video while scrolling saying to hit up Nakano Mall instead. So that's exactly what I did. I got up early and I left early, and this is a mistake in Japan because stores don't open up early. I sat in Nakano Mall for a couple hours before everything had opened up. The first store I had visited had an English fluent Japanese worker there who was pretty sick. He showed me all the sickest spots at Nakano Mall. It was nice to have this friendly interaction so early in the trip. I ran into another fellow US tourist and he gave me a ramen shop recommendation by the name of Kikanbo. If you ever listen to this, buddy, thanks. It was great. I hit up every store in Nakano Mall except for all the watch stores. Japan loves wristwatches is a takeaway from my journey. Nakano Mall fulfilled all my hopes and dreams of merchandise. I spent the entire day there, treated it as a museum visit where you could buy the exhibits. Speaking of museums, Day 3, Wednesday, July 16th. I went to Ueno, home of the Tokyo National Museum. The museum was mainly an anthropological exhibit following early stages of different civilizations into later stages. They had an interactable part to the museum, reading the bones and what your dreams mean, which was fun, but the museum was super quiet and you had to shake an apparatus with the bones that was overtly loud for the venue. The museum was split into 2 parts. I checked out the side part first and then the main part second. The main portion of the museum follows very early Japanese cultures through different periods. I will circle back on the contents of museums at the wrap-up in the end for my thoughts, because I visit a lot of museums. After going through the gift shop and buying some terracotta Hatsune Miku stickers, I walked for quite a bit through the city to get to a restaurant that was closed. So I hit up a McDonald's instead. On my way to the McDonald's, I passed a shrine in the middle of the city, which will be a common thing from here on out. In Japan, shrines are everywhere and it is awesome. I have the utmost respect for how well kept most of the shrines are. Some shrines have lost the support of a monk and fallen into disrepair, but they still have a beauty about them. After lunch, I had headed over to Sensoji Temple. This is a main tourist hotspot, but it still is awesome. The main shopping street is filled with traditional tourist stuff. I took pictures of all the stuff that I wanted. I came here with the intention of getting a Tengu mask, and I found one here. They also had little samurai armor sets that I wanted, but I didn't pick them up right away because I didn't know if I'd find something better. At Sensoji Temple proper, you can buy a fortune and an incense to burn, and there were benches there to admire the great work that had been put into the temple. Sensoji is also a stone's throw away from Akihabara, so I went there to find that Nakano Mall was the right call. Except the Gunpla store in Akihabara frickin' rocks, and I picked up a gun cannon master grade kit as well as a Zoc high grade kit. I asked the clerk if they've ever seen a Zamel kit, and then they laughed at me in my face. Not really. They were very polite in saying no. Day 4, Thursday, July 17th. Today is the day I went to Shibuya. There was a Final Fantasy store that I wanted to check out, and it was awesome. Everything was awesome. They had a Furby pop-up store there that was pretty funny. I chilled out on top of this place that had a weird pink amorphous walkway that was pretty funny to look at. I made it to the Shibuya Scramble, and it is the best organized chaos one could ever imagine. I checked out the Pokemon Center, Samurai Champloo, Dark Souls, Godzilla, Nintendo, Death Stranding, Jump, and Capcom store, which was all in one place. The Pokemon Center was packed. Line for the checkout was insane. You could make your own t-shirt there, which I would have, but it was an insane wait time. I went to the Hub Bar for a break. I ended up talking to a nice woman for quite some time about music, which was funny because the next place that I wanted to go to was Tokyo Records, which is a 5 to 6 story music store that had a live idol show happening on one of the floors. If you love the tactile experience of records or CDs, Tokyo Records is the place to be. Shout out to the Sleep Token fans. If you're listening, you guys are weird, but welcomed. Day 5, Friday, July 18th. Today I wanted to take it easy as my American feet were burning. So I actually headed up to Saitama for a minute, checked out a small bistro, crepe place, a crane game place before heading back to my hotel for some rest. After resting, I headed out to get an omakase sushi experience. Little did I know I would get an experience of a lifetime at Edohachi. I walked into this family-owned restaurant, and I was greeted by the nicest family. I was lucky enough that the grandson was there who was fluent in both English and Japanese, and was kind enough to be an interpreter for the night. I cannot understate the kindness that I felt there. Not only that, but the sushi was amazing. It was 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 experience. I never tried half of the sushi that I had that night, but I loved everything. They recommended a whole bunch of places for me to check out in the area, and the grandson said I should check out Sunshine City in Ikebukuro. I left the restaurant and was escorted down the street for about 50 feet by the whole family, and they made sure I knew where my hotel was. Day 6, Saturday, July 19th. Following the grandson's advice, I just went to Ikebukuro today. There was a Pokemon Go center here, which was so cash money. I fought in a whole bunch of raids and stuff before begrudgingly moving on. This mall also had its own Pokemon center, which was just as busy, if not busier than the Shibuya one. There was an event hall in this place as well. There was a Delicious in Dungeon event that required a ticket. They gave me instructions on how to get one, which required going to a 7-Eleven and printing out a ticket, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. I went to a clothes store and figured out real quick that American sizes and Japanese sizes are vastly different, and I would have to go to a big and tall store, which had some fire outfits, and I got some great fun stuff in there. From this mall, I walked over to a shrine that had a local festival happening, and my God, the shrines still amaze me no matter how many I see. Day 7, Sunday, July 20th. I spent today really relaxing and refreshing, laundry refresh, and finally checking out the onsen in my hotel. After watching a video on how to properly wear a yukata, and watching it 10 more times, and then watching videos on proper bath etiquettes, I finally headed down and enjoyed a relaxing bath. I did not drink the milk afterwards because I am lactose intolerant. Day 8, Monday, July 21st. Today was Ocean Day in Japan, a nationally recognized holiday. On this day, I dedicated the first half to culture and environment. I went to most of the shrines near my hotel, visited the park on the riverside, and finally visited a serene shrine on top of a train station, which was actually a recommendation of the Edo Hachi family. I watched as people did the tradition of praying at the temple, and then I joined in on the tradition. A monk at the temple helped me buy some luck charms. I bought some fortune charms as well. Each bag would have a random charm that would predict your fortune. I brought them back to my family, and we eerily got charms that lined up with where we are in life right now. I then took a train over to Tokyo Tower. I was tipped off that there might be festivities in the area. There was none, but there was a cool tower, and it had a mall. I posted the image in my Instagram, and an old friend reached out to me. Turns out they work in Tokyo. Small world, you know? So we scheduled a time and place to hang out, which would be on Day 9, Tuesday, July 22nd. First of all, Odaiba. I got to see Unicorn Gundam in all of its glory. I luckily visited the Gundam base store on a day that did not require a reservation, which I learned to check because a college friend had been denied entry the other day. At this mall, they have a 1,000 yen coupon for tourists if you spend 10,000 yen, so it could be a go-to for you. Gundam base is so wizard. It's got my favorite series, G Gundam, on full display. I picked up a Gunpla of Takeda Shingen SD Gundam and his earthly rival Uesugi Kenshin SD Gundam as well. After this, I went to go hang out with my old army friend. I always wanted to try a conveyor belt sushi place, and it just so happens a newer one was opened called Sushiro. The conveyor belts were fast as heck and almost spilled my highball. The screen at this place was massive and you could play a game on it while ordering sushi. After dinner, he showed me around the area. We ran into some of his friends, we hung out for a minute, and I got to enjoy that socialization, as traveling alone can be a little bit isolating. We had a good time chatting about favorite movies and games, had a good laugh with some good people, and then we checked out the Superman movie in a movie theater. And then after the movie, I almost missed the last train back up to Akabane. I enjoyed Superman more than I thought, and I thought the hopeful message was quite inspiring. Day 10, Wednesday, July 23rd. Today I traveled out to the countryside of Yamanashi Prefecture. My hotel was located in Isawa, and it was a more traditional Japanese ryokan. I checked in and then checked out my room, and was thrilled by the ambience of it all. I checked out some of the surrounding area, ate some ramen for dinner, and returned to take a bath in the onsen on the top floor. Should have mentioned earlier, but I don't have tattoos to cover up or worry about. I got to enjoy an outdoor onsen on top of the roof overlooking the area, the mountains hiding the sunset in the distance as I relaxed. I prepared myself for bed and figured out that my back, the floor, and the futon did not really mix all that well. I needed to triple up on the futon to survive, but the first night was pretty rough. Day 11, Thursday, July 24th. The reason why I came out to the countryside was to pay respects to my favorite samurai lord, Takeda Shingen. And oh boy, did Kofu deliver on how much they had for Takeda Shingen. The nice store with all the merchandise, the museum that gets super into the details and raises questions about the romanticization of Takeda cavalry, the shrine located in a beautiful hillside area that you can look down and see the entire valley. It was everything I needed, and some things I didn't know I needed, like the photo op with the replica armor. This area is surrounded with mountains, and you can see the rain from the mountain clouds. Even though I saw it, I still got hit by some of the rain. I spent the rest of the day fighting a sickness in bed, which I took very seriously as Takeda Shingen died of illness. Day 12, Friday, July 25th, Mountain Blues. So here is a good time to mention how I plan vacations. In short, I don't. I mostly just look at Google Maps, see something on the map that looks interesting, and go. That's it. So today I headed up to Heidi's village in Hokuto. Google Maps had me take a bus halfway there and then told me to walk up the mountainside. I didn't complain because I told myself the journey would make the experience better. I walked and I walked, got up to a Keno sunflower field, and it just so happened that the Sunflower Festival was happening at the same time. I enjoyed the Sunflower Festival and spent my money on various teas and sunflower vanilla ice cream. I walked up to Heidi's village and walked through the beautiful amusement park. It is based off of an anime that I had knowledge of but never watched. Heidi, Girl of the Alps, made in the 1970s. It was a very picturesque experience and it was just a good, relaxing time. I got out of the park and noticed a bus stop that was right next to the park that I could have taken up here. It's a local line that goes straight here, and Google didn't know about it. I waited for the bus. It comes around every hour or so. Well, they need cash. And the cash, I spent all of it at the Sunflower Festival. Guess I'm walking down the mountain. My phone died, so I lost translation and GPS, so I sort of just winged it down the mountain. It was a beautiful walk. I walked for an hour before happening upon humanity, an auto body shop. The person there spoke English and helped me out with the directions. I still had an hour of walking to get to the train station, and the train station is on an adjacent mountain that I'd have to walk up. All right, nice. Kept walking. Another 40 minutes go by. The sun is getting really low. I have to cross two dangerous bridges not meant for foot traffic, and I make it to a Family Mart, down a water in 2 seconds, charge my phone, find a bus route to the train station. The bus route, unknown to me, was one of the buses that go super fast around the turns up the dangerous mountainside. The bus driver was an older man who was hunched over the wheel, absolutely just whipping the shit out of the wheel, and it was an awesome experience. I finally make it to the train station, and the sun sets on my way back to the hotel. Day 13, Saturday, July 26th. I check out on my ryokan and head back to Tokyo to prepare for my trip to Osaka. I checked out some local places in Akabane for dinner, and I take it easy. That's it. Day 14, Sunday, July 27th. Bullet train time. The Shinkansen from Tokyo to Osaka. I bought a ticket to sit on the Mount Fuji side. Mount Fuji was covered in clouds and I didn't see it, but the rest of the scenery was nice. I met up with a college friend and his coworker who are both currently working in Japan. We got some, oh god, this word gets me every time, okonomiyaki, and hit up the main street area in Osaka, Dotonbori, or Sotenbori if you're a huge nerd. It was wild. If we equate Shibuya and Dotonbori, it is a wildly different vibe. Even Osaka and Tokyo have completely different vibes. If you've ever been to both, you probably know. We walked to Dotonbori for a good amount of time. We decided to try heading up to a Family Guy themed bar, but my friends had to work in the morning, so we called it after seeing and cracking a few Family Guy based jokes. Day 15, Monday, July 28th. The whole reason why I came to Osaka was for the Tech Expo, and oh boy, it didn't disappoint. I went to the Mitsubishi Future exhibition where there were no subtitles, so I had to glean whatever the show was about. Mitsubishi is proposing that Mars is a treasure trove of data with the ice that is possibly located under the surface. With ice coring technology like we currently use on Earth, we could get the atmospheric data of Mars. As to whether that's possible, I don't know. I went to the Women's Pavilion next and enjoyed an audio experience of the predictions of the future of women on Earth. Seeing how parliaments and governments will be equal in about 2060. I got to experience the big wooden ring, the largest structure that doesn't use any metal, only slotted wood. It was way bigger than I thought it would be and offers up a great view. At the expo, the theme was One World, One Planet, and a lot of the exhibits were about recycling and technology, about advancements in that sort of category. There were also halls and exhibits for almost every country on Earth. I went to a couple, and each one would go into their country what their plans for their country is for the future, and all that good stuff. Most of the really popular exhibits, though, were reservation only, and it was through a lottery system, so I missed out on a good bit, but didn't feel too bad. I got approached by some grade school students completing an assignment. I answered the questions, and they gave me some origami. At sunset, I went up to the ring to take some sunset pictures. After taking mine, I helped out other people take their pictures. I took a photo of a Japanese family, and the son could speak English, where we were able to talk about our mutual interests in anime and Gundam. Singing along to the classic Tobi-Yo Gundamu, we watched the fireworks together and parted ways after sharing contact information. I tried to get into a final exhibit before it closed, but I actually got unlucky here. As the expo was closing for the night, they had a drone show to cap it off. I then got to experience the sardine can subway, and my back became a pillow for a very tired baby. Day 16, Tuesday, July 29th. I had to see it, despite it being a huge tourist area. There was also a super informative museum in Nara. It highlighted Buddhism and the statues that you see. One of my friends asked me to check out a pop-up store in Osaka as well, so I headed over there and checked that out. Pretty slow day. Day 17, Wednesday, July 30th. I woke up to news about an earthquake and a tsunami warning, and this was the day that I was supposed to take the Shinkansen back to Tokyo. I checked my app and it said the Shinkansen was temporarily unavailable, so I decided to head up to Kyoto for the day instead. One more museum, of course, and right across the street from the museum is the Temple of 1,001 statues of Kannon, the goddess of compassion. From this spiritual experience, I decided to face my fate of whether or not I needed a hotel for the night, or if I would make it back to Tokyo. And the tsunami wasn't anything really at all. So I made it back to Tokyo with no issues. Day 18, Thursday, July 31st. Today is the day I doubled back on places to buy things I saw at the beginning of the trip and waited on. Going back to Sensoji Temple Market Street, going back to Nakano Mall, picking up my nice Tengu mask and some red bean sweet treats to bring back home for my family to try out. Day 19, Friday, August 1st. I spent this day pretty depressed, thinking about my traveling the next day. I went back to the Donkey to buy every flavor of Kit Kat I could find, and then I had an idea. Gifting some of the Kit Kats to the family sushi restaurant of Edo Hachi. I gifted the Kit Kats to the family and they were so thrilled. Some of the regulars were there and they had a nice kick out of it too. I told them I'd be back one day and they gifted me a cup from their restaurant. I will treasure this gift forever. I re-met up with my army buddy for a teppanyaki experience for dinner, and everything was just so amazing. The entire trip, I was worried about eating fake Wagyu and getting scammed, but I finally got to bite into some of the good quality Wagyu beef, and it is as amazing as you would think it is. Day 20, Saturday, August 2nd. I checked out of my hotel and headed to Haneda Airport. Parting is such sweet sorrow. And then last minute, I bought a whole bunch of stuff in the airport with the cash I had left. That was my entire trip. Did I miss out on some stuff? For sure, but you get the picture. I'm going to go into what I learned or what resolved in me throughout my travels. This portion of the video, I want you to think about my words and maybe respond out loud like a weird, stilted conversation. Just humor me. Let's start off with traveling alone. To me, a huge portion of my life has been selfless service. You work in an office at the beck and call of others, and you try your best to meet their needs. You work in customer service. Enough said, right? You serve in the army, you become a teacher. Now think about what I'm going to say. I like traveling alone because it offers the greatest expression of selfishness and freedom. I choose everything based on whatever I want to do. No strings, no worries, no whatever. This brings me the greatest amount of peace of mind. I will give you about 30 seconds here to answer this out loud. What is the last life-changing thing you did that was wholly selfish? Now I hope you have come to a conclusion. I'm not a psychologist or anything, and you may have a different view about what constitutes as selfless or not. And if you have been a very selfless person, I need you to take time for yourself and be selfish for once. If you're a very selfish person, please take some time to be selfless. And if you have a nice balance, good. I'm proud of you. Sort of going off of that, giving things meaning, giving things or people respect. Japan does this a lot. And I know that this culture gets burnt out on this because of how minute the details get about respect. But I'll tell you that the baseline of respect shown by everyday interactions was something that I loved. Walking into every store, being greeted, being shown respect, and then hopefully in turn returning that respect. And I think more people across the world need to increase the baseline of respect for everything. Themselves, others, their general environment, all of it. Answer out loud, what do you think about this idea? Thanks for answering that. The next portion of what I pondered while traveling was about friendships and relationships. Do you overthink friendships? Do you worry about how your friends perceive you? Let me tell you that you are overthinking and you should relax. Friendship should not be a complicated mess. A good friendship survives the toughest storms. I would like to extend out to any of my friends, even if you think you aren't a friend. I'll give you what happened in Japan. My college friend that I had a nice time with, I hadn't seen him in 2 to 3 years. No big deal, whatever. Let's go get food in Japan. Hell yeah, buddy. My army friend that showed me around his stomping grounds in Japan introduced me to some awesome people. And I hadn't seen him since our deployment 5 to 6 years ago. No big deal, whatever. Let's get food in Japan. Hell yeah, buddy. The ability is within you to be a good friend to others and not have the anxiety that some carry around with themselves. I made multiple friends in Japan in less than a month's time. A family that owns a restaurant, friends of friends, a family at the Osaka Tech Expo, a friend that loves music. It truly is simple. Now I want you to say out loud, I am a good friend. And then, at your earliest convenience, I want you to reach out to an old friend that you may not talk to often. Now I want to marry these two things together. And if you're a history nerd, you probably already know some of the stuff that I'm about to say. Humanity loves stuff and things. Since always, humanity thrives on putting stock into stuff and things. Let me explain how Japan truly is the marriage of the old and the new. You may think it's the shrines and its rich history, but it goes deeper into how humans fundamentally are and how we shouldn't be ashamed of liking stuff and things. Let's go with what survives from the ancient times. Burial items. I wonder where or when people started saying you can't take it with you in regards to worldly items in the afterlife, because ancient peoples are absolutely the opposite of this ethos. Ancient lords would actually take their advisors with them to the grave. And I assume one day an advisor made a statue that looked like themselves and put it with that lord in the grave instead. And that's how they stopped doing that. The whole world over had people buried with objects, toys, statues, weapon, money, animals, anything that meant anything to that person or what their position in life was. It sort of puts modern burial practices to shame. Oh, we put you in a jar for your afterlife. Oh, here's a casket. At least give me a freaking Game Boy Color in there, please. And now I go into the modern day. In Tokyo, stuff and things are everywhere. Little gachapon stores, big gachapon stores, rampant consumerism of stuff and things. I want you to answer this out loud. Think about the last seemingly useless item you bought. Maybe it's something purely decorative. Maybe you felt guilty getting it. What was it? Now I want you to know, don't feel bad about the things that you buy. Just know that your urge for those things are entirely human since the dawn of conscious thought and maybe even before that. In Japan, I went to the Tokyo National Museum, the Takeda Shingen Museum, the Nara Museum, and the Kyoto Museum, and all these museums taught me about humans' past. And the one thing I always knew, but now I really know, is humans always love stuff. It is inherently part of the human condition to love stuff and things, even the spiritual or religious types. Have you ever seen the beauty of shrines and cathedrals? That falls into the age-old human condition of loving cool stuff and things. Answer out loud for me here. What do you think about this? Have you always known this? Or is this new to you? Do you agree or disagree? And that is where I'll end the video. I hope the video was enjoyable. I hope you took something away from it. Whatever you needed to take away from it, leave a comment on the video of the interaction between you and your friend that you reached out to, or just your thoughts on the video. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.